Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. My name's Kelly Slothauer. I work at Cognizant. I lead the CX strategy group there. And I'm going to talk to you today about intelligent interactions and how to elevate your customer experience. So before I get started, we are going to talk a little bit about plans that we have for some connectors toward the end of the conversation. So I have the safe harbor statement up here. I'm sure you all have seen that before. So welcome to our session. We are going to be here for about an hour. And I think I can probably speak for all of us when I say that this is what the world feels like today. Does anybody feel like everything all at once, everywhere, is happening to them? I see a couple of head nods, yes. So our minds keep splintering. We're going to have to figure out how to make smart decisions, do good actions, make bizarre choices that we've never had to make before. And so this Michelle Yeoh image is what we're going to all have to channel and figure out how to make ourselves understand these different dimensions. And you aren't imagining it. Change is actually getting faster than it ever has before. And I have bad news for you. It's not going to get slower. And so for consumers, adoption of ChatGPT to get to 1 million users only took 5 days. And so in our lifetime, things have taken a lot longer. Many of us in this room, I can kind of assess age. We used to wait for dial-up tones, right? And so we don't even wait 2 seconds before we get frustrated and try and reload. So sometimes in the world, the technology outpaces our ability to anticipate it or understand the impacts of it. So welcome to the great acceleration. Technology, customer experiences, and the financial industry has changed quite a lot, and it's accelerating faster than our ability to fully predict the impact of them. So many businesses are struggling. And so what we need to start asking ourselves is, where should I focus given this environment? How should I stay relevant? And what investments should I be making? So I'm going to help you figure out where to put the right bets on the customer experience. So let's talk first about what's changing. Now, I grew up in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, but I'm no historian, so I'm going to keep this really recent. So customer expectations have changed the way that we think and the culture of our environment. So we now have shorter attention spans as a result of the immediacy that we've created. We allow for and expect expressionism. We demand instant gratification. We expect transparency. We are much more aware of globalization, and we're really willing to experiment now more than ever before, primarily because of the pandemic forced us to experiment. And now we're all a little bit more comfortable with that. So that means in experiences, in customer experience, we are trying to make things more immediate. We have to have empathy in the journey and understand where people are coming from and where they're trying to get to. We have to make things low effort, connected, anticipatory, and personalized. These are not new concepts, but they're things that are really hard to do in reality. But I want to talk to you about 3 different companies who are really doing this well. So I want to start with Starbucks. This is a company that constantly innovates. Yes, you are holding one right now, and I've seen so many of them here. But they stay relevant in our world because they're constantly innovating and creating best-in-class experiences. Their loyalty program is acknowledged as one of the best in the world. Their pre-ordering, their drive-through, their mobile payments, the voice ordering via chat, all of that helps us to elevate our customer experience, and expectations come along with that. Amazon Prime. So everybody have Amazon Prime in the room? Yes. So they're setting the stage, setting the benchmark for what seamlessness, and low effort means in purchasing. It's the easiest way to buy anything today. And they know that, and they've orchestrated that. They've created that experience for us. And people love it. They have a 92% customer retention rate, which is incredible, right? Especially considering the price since 2018 has gone up 40%. 40%. And it's all because of the things that they continue to bring to us. First it was Prime Video, and then same-day delivery, and then Amazon Fresh, and Whole Foods discounts, and now there's Save and Subscribe. So there's so many things that they do to keep us engaged in the brand. And the last one, Netflix. Who has Netflix? Anybody? Yeah, many of us. Yeah, so I don't know if you know this, but this is perhaps the most advanced data science company in the world right now. They can apply immediate context because what they're doing is they're watching what we rate, what we watch, what we rewatch. I have a hard time with that word, rewatch, and what device we're using, what searches. And so everything for them can be analyzed and used contextually to figure out what to recommend to us. And so they have this algorithm in the background generating those recommendations for us. But also, you may not know this, they are now able to predict the popularity of content. Imagine how powerful that is for people in terms of making the right bets, because they know what to buy and what to promote and what to put on the top 10 list for the day, because they know what's going to come, what's going to be important. They also just announced in 2025 they're going to do a brick and mortar. What's that going to change? It's going to shake things up dramatically, and I'm so excited for it. So technology, you all are here in technology, so I'm not going to go through this list, but clearly we have been inundated with things that we have to start to understand, and this is why the world seems so chaotic, and that the Michelle Yeoh reference is so relevant, because we're sort of spanning different multiverses and different tools that we've ever had. And then in financial services, I assume most of you are in financial services here. Not hiding under a rock. There's lots of things happening in financial services. And so the pace of change here is enormous. There is constraints. There are, my mic just changed, thank you. There are changes in monitoring and detection and security, layers of personalization, actioning data. We need to have a whole new science now, forensic financial. So it's so crazy, the interest rates and the identity theft. There's so many new products out there today. So all of this to say that our customer experiences and expectations have dramatically changed. And so we can't just shove information at people. We can't achieve everything everywhere all at once. We have to curate. We cannot just aggregate. Aggregation is going to be too much. It's going to be overwhelming. So instead of flooding customers and employees with abundance, try and figure out what people actually want and need for the moment that they're in, so that you can create something meaningful at the right time with the right touch. So our answer is that we need to strategically curate and align customer experiences to drive differential growth. So what we're calling this is intelligent orchestration. And essentially, it requires building dynamic ecosystems. And I mean not just tech. I'm talking people, process, data, and tech in that ecosystem where the system, the whole of the system, is greater than the sum of its parts. And so when we're talking about intelligent orchestration in modern businesses, that means we have to rethink about what our design principles are. So my background is in human-centered design. And so we always start with principles. So these are the 4 principles. I call them the 4 Ps: presence, persistence, personalization, and partnership. So if you think about presence, think about this as the loyalty P, where you are creating reasons and putting value into the relationship, where you're building affinity with your customer. And so this is the long game. So presence is the long game. Persistence is the short game. That is about ease and convenience, removing barriers across the journey to a purchase or a service that you want them to explore. Personalization, we all know what that is, but essentially the intuitive and visible layer underneath driving everything. And then partnership. This one might be new for many of you. So if you think about experiences from a customer perspective, they don't just think about the one service or product that you have. They're thinking about it in a more holistic way. So, for example, Delta Airlines. Anybody fly Delta on their way here? No, I'm from Atlanta, so it's a given. Delta has partnerships in their ecosystem, knowing that customers aren't just thinking about their flight, but they're thinking about how to get to the airport, where they're going to stay, what they're going to eat and drink. So Delta has miles and reward programs associated with Lyft, Hertz, Starbucks, Marriott. So all of those brands are part of their ecosystem that they know that the customer experiences end to end. And so when you think about end to end, you have to think about all of the partners that you can help monetize along the way as part of your ecosystem. So there's a lot of growth that can be happening there. So these are the 4 Ps. Remember them, because you need them in order to make the experience feel like the top row, because that's what customers expect. But we all in this room know that it's much more complicated and much more costly to achieve that. So I want to talk now about how to start achieving it, because you can't do it all everywhere all at once. What you can do is move slowly across the dimensions. So today, if you imagine personalization in a much smaller place, it's one size fits some people, and maybe it's your best customers, or maybe it's just the most recent customers, but we need to move that to something more curated and one-to-one. In terms of relationship, if you're thinking transactionally about I need people to get one more service, or I need one more interaction, or I need one more mortgage, that is not the future. The future is much more value-based and showing meaning to the customer in terms of the value that you're providing. Interaction, most of the world is very reactive. Very few companies are proactive. So if you can figure out how to anticipate what someone needs, or even flag something that you know is going to be an issue, like a delay of some sort or an interest rate hike, you can proactively plan to communicate to your customers so that they don't have to reach out to you. How much value would that bring? Next, tactical versus predictive. And so we obviously want to always be paying attention and anticipating and knowing what customers need before they need it. Siloed data, man, this one is a challenge. It's all over the place, right? It's either locked behind some wall that you can't break through, or it's not actionable because it's still in a form or raw that you can't access, or it's in multiple places. This is the number one thing holding people back right now to this intelligent orchestration is data. Because the tech is there, the tech is ready, the data is not. So I would say if there's one thing you have to focus on, it's the data side. And then lastly, but not least, in terms of decision making, we've all believed that humans are the great race, right? And so we've relied quite heavily on human judgment. But in the future, it's going to be much more blended. And I want to deep dive on that for a second. I'm going to say something provocative, and hopefully no one falls out of their chair. But customer relationships are too important to be left to humans. We are fallible. We miss details. We refuse to learn and apply. We get carried away by emotions, men more than women. I like to throw that in there. So we need to augment our human capabilities with technology in order to do what we want to do for the future. And it's been going on since we pushed 2 rocks together. There's always been innovation. There's always been assistance. And so for the first time, though, we are being asked to do things in more real time with a speed that feels very spontaneous. And so we gotta rely on these tools now. So if you've missed all the signs to date and at every conference this year, this is your wake-up call. We are at a precipice where customer experience and artificial intelligence have intersected in the most dramatic way. And so this is the moment where you're going to have to start thinking about streamlining processes, because you can't automate what's not documented and defined as a process. And you need the data and tech. Tech is sitting there waiting for you. So what we believe is that in the future, technology will intelligently orchestrate our experiences in real time. We're going to leverage data and AI to inform and automate across interoperable applications and create a dynamic ecosystem. And it's led us to this moment where we are going to say that the contact center of the future should be the experience center. And what I mean by that is we need to shift our mindset from being about agents managing sales and service inquiries to generating sales through data-driven insights to something much more valuable, much more intelligent, much more opportunistic and purposeful. And that is an experience center where the experience is connected, it's omni-channel, it makes it easy and painless to do business. It ensures customers are feel seen, feel seen, heard, and valued at every interaction, which will ultimately earn their loyalty and their advocacy. And so you can see where I'm going with this, is that in order to move to an experience center, we have to shift how we're evaluating our folks that we call contact center or customer success teams. We have to shift our metrics. So if the current metrics are more short-term focused, are more transactional, we have to move to the right-hand side and look at things that are more valuable to the customer relationship and the loyalty. So instead of thinking about AHT and first call resolution and utilization, certainly you have to run a business, so you have to have operational excellence. But if you stop there, you're only thinking about decreasing cost and not amplifying the value. So you have to move to the right-hand side and think about outcomes of journeys, customer efforts, the lifetime value, which you might be able to assess through AUM, retention rates, are you able to get them to buy things again or upsell them, cross-channel conversion rates, engagements, whether it's like social media likes, shares, opens, things like that. But then let's get into trust. Trust is a big thing. How do you measure trust, especially in financial institutions? Trust can come in the form of likelihood to recommend, or it can even come into the number of accounts or products. So are they increasing their relationship with you, or are they maintaining or decreasing? And those are metrics that will propel you into more of a long-term mindset. So the future that we're imagining is that AI should mentor the humans. This is the blended judgment that we're talking about. You can't make AI the superpower. The agents are the superpower. I'm sorry. You can't make start over. You cannot make agents you can't make AI the superhero. They have to be given superpowers. So you want the hero to always be the agent, not the tool. And so when we talk about this, we mean that use the tools to empower them, to give them discretion, give them the data, give them the insights that they need to service the customer in the moment. So think of this as a practical overlay of all of the data and tech that's been curated for that agent in the moment. So the way that AI impacts workflows, this co-pilot idea or this mentor idea, is really about learning from top performers and using that to help the rest of the team adopt their best practices. And so you use that insight to enhance rather than simply replace the human. And so you want to make sure in terms of principles that the agent is always in control. And so that you have to trust them enough to give them discretion in the moment to use the data fully or partially to service that customer. Superpower helps the less skilled. So you think about the training required to onboard somebody into a value. You think about the turnover in this industry. This is really helpful in filling some of those gaps. And the folks that are lower skilled are not going to see this as an infringement on their autonomy. They're actually going to find it a way to add value to the organization in ways they haven't in the past. And then lastly, this underscores the importance of the top performers in your organization. They're the ones that are going to help fuel and train these tools. And so continue to use them to help educate the AI. So it's interesting, there was a study recently done by MIT and Stanford that talked about the impact of AI on business performance, specifically about call centers. And the reason they did it with call centers is because they know that the reputation of the company lives and dies at that interaction. And that's where customer relationships are built. And so that's why it's more important than a short-term metric, and that you should be thinking about it long-term. But because of the worker productivity and performance issues and the turnover issues, it's been really hard to figure out a consistency model. So anyway, this study was done using the collaborative model, and it had 5,100 agents, 5,179 to be exact. And there's some great results, and I want to share those with you today. The first one was that the AI tools allow customer service reps to resolve problems quicker, increased their productivity by 14%. 14%. It was even higher for the lower skilled associates. I think it was 39% for lower skilled. I'm going to go back one because my notes are in there. 35% for the novice and lower skilled workers. So great resolutions per hour increase. There's also other important stats here that many of you probably care about. The sentiment for customers improved when AI was leveraged, and the request for managerial intervention went down, and employee retention improved. And that's because when you serve your employees, you serve your customers. And when they're happy, my mom used to have a sign in the kitchen, if mama ain't happy, nobody happy. And that's the same with your employees. So give them what they need to show up well in front of your customers. And if you need to know if this is being applied, this was an open AI customer story from Morgan Stanley. Jeff McMillan, who's head of data and analytics for Morgan Stanley Wealth Management, said that he acknowledged how much data is sitting in their knowledge management in different forms all over the place, in PDFs and emails and in announcements and paper copies, and said, I can't ask my employees to go through that at the speed that they need to. And so Morgan Stanley said that basically that this skill set is, this new tool is transformative for them, and that they're starting to see results. So remember earlier when I said that this is your wake-up call, industry's already taken advantage of it. So in the future, we're looking at a twofold approach. So you need to optimize the functionality, of course, with the tools and the data, but you also have to continuously innovate around what's coming. And if you're using the tools in the right way, managing your data, turning into Netflix and Starbucks and Amazon Prime, you're doing the right thing. But in order to achieve this future, you're probably going to need a little bit of a boost. And so that's why today we wanted to talk with you about a new tool that we have created that accelerates and helps take burden off of the investments needed to get where you want to be. So that's why we're calling it Cognizant Intelligent Interactions. And so this is a way to accelerate the intelligent orchestration that we talked about. And basically, it's a 25 solutions and frameworks and reusable assets that help speed up the migration to Amazon Connect. And so what's happening here is we have pre-built use cases that are specifically catered to the needs of banking and financial services that help with a faster time to market. It's a slow process sometimes, so these help accelerate that. It helps increase digital deflections because it connects to more CRMs than without it. There's lower cost of ownership and implementation cost, and obviously anything that makes it more seamless enhances the customer experience. So the solutions are packaged based on having an intuitive UI, AI's at the core. It's omni-channel, it has CRM connectors that don't exist currently, and there's more advanced analytics. And we've done all this based on all of the years of experience Cognizant has in the industry and the partnership that we have with AWS. And so for those of you who know Amazon Connect, that is the white boxes, the functionality. And then the green boxes are what we have added in terms of the accelerators to drive faster delivery, cut costs, and improve business value. And so it goes across both the agent experience, the business experience, the developer experience, and last but not least, the customer experience. And so there's lots of enhancements here. And so here's some industry standards. I don't know if your organization is asking about industry standards, but you can capture this slide and then you can compare yours. But there's always these benchmarks being asked about how to improve efficiencies. And so if you look at some of the average handle times in current state, and then what these new tools will allow and facilitate from the top down. So average handle time goes down 50%, abandonment rate goes down, transfer rates, manual outbound calls goes down, authentication rates goes much faster, adoption of the CSAT surveys goes up, and the dependence on IT, it really helps with this because it empowers people that are not technologists to be able to make some changes. So the pre-built accelerators, here's an example of them. So this enables basically end-to-end customer experience improvements. And then up here we also have the connectors. So I'm sure you're familiar with many of those and probably have some of those in-house. I want to show you 3 of them and what the screens look like. So I'm going to show you the desktop, the customer journey maps, and the interaction analyzer. So the agent desktop really brings everything into a unified screen. You can double click into it, and it provides a really concise knowledge management extraction for the need. Look at the customer journey. It helps with a visual aid of the activities they're taking. And then interaction analyzer gives the entire view of the contact center analytics between the customer and the agent. So I want to talk about Cheryl. Let's do a little, I'm a customer journey person, so I got to do a journey in a slide somewhere, right? So let's talk about Cheryl. Let's say Cheryl wants to check her balance. And in the past, she's going to either be savvy and have the app, or she's going to call somebody and find out what her balance is. So let's say Cheryl reaches out to us. Let's say it's on chat, because this is omni-channel. So she reaches out on chat. Because we know who she is, because of one of our CIIs, we can very quickly understand who she is and authenticate her, either through voice or through PIN. It's in one of our accelerators. It's out of the box. And then we can dynamically route her to the right way. So we're looking up information through the integrations that we've enabled. We're prompting her to self-serve and say, are you wanting to check your balance today, Cheryl? She hits yes, and then we can deliver that information to her without having to field her to an agent. So then the conversational AI bots are helping. The dynamic messaging is there, and those are all customized and industry specific, so we would know what challenges Cheryl might be experiencing and how and to talk in your terms. So finally, Cheryl reaches an agent. She thinks her balance is wrong. So that information has been carried forward, and the agent knows before she picks up the phone while Cheryl is on the line and what needs she has and what she's already attempted and what the problem is that is still unresolved. And the sentiment also comes along with Cheryl. We've seen a couple red flags. Cheryl said some aggressive things to our chat bot, and we know that Cheryl's in the red. Cheryl's a little bit angry because she thinks her balance is too low and that we've taken some fees that she doesn't agree with. So then we look at the CRM, and we're able to assess there what her background is and see if this is common for Cheryl and if she does this a lot, or if this is the first time and there is a glitch. And we're referencing her channel of choice. That's being captured, so we know in the future Cheryl and what she's interested in. And so the Customer 360 now starts to populate with more information about Cheryl, and it's learning and capturing. And so Cheryl gets assisted by the agent. Everything about Cheryl is on a customer data screen right in front of the agent. She's able to be assisted in real time with her balance that she just took out from the ATM 10 minutes ago. And our knowledge management popped up right away and says, well, Cheryl, sorry to tell you, you went below the minimum balance requirement. And so we had to assess a fee. And so then they get explained the situation. Cheryl understands. The agent has discretion since she knows it's the first time this has happened to Cheryl. So she has discretion to say, you know what, Cheryl, let me waive that this time. So we go ahead and mark that in the Customer 360 profile. We know for next time that we've already done that once. And so immediately Cheryl's thrilled, and we trigger a customer survey for her to take and fill out. And then there's an advanced analytics dashboard that then allows the agent and their supervisor to debrief about that call and assess the dashboard in a larger context. So a couple case studies. These are really fun. So this first one is hours change. So we just had a holiday. Anybody need to scale back the hours that are posted? So this is a bank that was heavily dependent on the IT team to change any prompts or cues in their message. And so they wanted a self-service approach to change the IVR more quickly. So they utilized our CII solution, dynamic content routing, and it allowed the business users and the admin staff to do the configuration of the prompts, saying, hey, we're closed for Thanksgiving. And they didn't have to call an IT person for that. So great. So anyway, there's lots of language models already built in, so it makes things much more fast. Another example, this one is about adoption of the surveys. So the leading insurance provider here wanted to capture customer feedback after self-service interaction. Anybody measure self-service interactions? Yeah, a couple heads? Okay. And so we wanted to start doing that, but there was a long development time sitting in IT and the release cycles. So we wanted to do multi-channel interaction surveys, and the CII survey helped enable the supervisors and the admins to build those survey questionnaires using AI and configure them for the way they needed it. So now we're able to capture voice of customer and improve customer experiences. So, we've just started rolling this out. So at its core, this is an initial step for us on the transformation journey, and it will help you end to end with the products that you have, get to market faster, enable things that you've wanted that you're not able to do because of the long cycle times or the implementation costs. And we are committed to continuing to keep pace with the changing world around us and continue to bring more value to you. So we are looking at healthcare as our next industry. So we've done quite a bit in the financial services. Healthcare is next. But we're going to expand our solutions. We're adding more generative AI as it becomes secure, and then extending our partnerships and connections, particularly with Genesys. If anyone uses Genesys, that's next on the roadmap. So I have my technologist, Ashok, here, and we are here to answer any questions that you have about this tool.